What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Off the Schneid. Today we're going to be looking at the Dallas Cowboys, seeing what kind of needs they have heading into the 2021 NFL Draft. Obviously, I think it's going to be a fairly big return to dominant sort of a thing for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott comes back after injury. They get the contract done. He's going to be the guy for the foreseeable future. Backup, I think they're going to need some kind of backup quarterback, whether that's an established vet. They draft a guy, with maybe one of those fourth round picks, third round picks, something like that. Just a guy that can play. I think we've seen Cooper Rush, Garrett Gilbert, Ben DiNucci. We've seen what they can do, and they're not NFL caliber quarterbacks if you have to call upon them, sort of a thing. So I think that they add someone to come in and compete at the very least. Running back position, I expect Zeke to make a comeback statement kind of a thing. I think he's still one of the best running backs in the game. This line is very much still, if not the best, one of the best running offensive lines in the game. Tony Pollard's there if you need him to as a handcuff, like fantasy wise. Tony Pollard might be one of the most valuable handcuffs in the league this year. He can obviously get it done if called upon, especially with that line, with the wide receivers, quarterback, everything like that. This is a very dangerous offense, in my opinion, and I think that they're going to show it this year. So as far as the tight end position, we'll go there. Blake Jarwin comes back after injury. Dalton Schultz looked great last season, looked very, very, very good last season. Even with Andy Dalton, he looked very good. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being the starter there over Jarwin. They did bring in Jeremy Sprinkle from Washington, who's shown that he can definitely play in this league. So they're fine there at tight end, in my opinion. Offensive line, again, one of the best in the game. If they can stay healthy, they'll be, obviously that much better. Brandon Knight, Terrence Steele, even Connor McGovern, those guys played pretty meaningful snaps for this team last year. Tyler Biadasz at center. Zach Martin comes back. I think that this is still one of the best offensive lines in the game. Running the ball, passing the ball, no matter what you need them to do, this is one of the best in the game. They have depth. I don't really see them. I mean, I'm sure they're going to use some of that capital. They're definitely going to use one of those picks for an offensive lineman somewhere, I would imagine. They do have a ton of capital. That's the second most picks heading into the draft, 10. The most is the Eagles with 11. They got a lot of capital, 4 in the top 100. So they can definitely improve, but I think that's going to happen on the defensive side of the ball, but we'll get there. Wide receivers, I obviously are in a great position. I think they could use some depth. Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown are there to back up, but I think that they could use, again, one of those top 100 picks could be a wide receiver to come in and just be a depth guy. Amari Cooper, Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, probably one of the best trios in the NFL, potentially. It's definitely up there, just wide receivers. There might be teams, Chiefs with, Travis Kelce, but I rest my case. So I think they should add somebody to come in and compete with those backup wide receivers. And if there's an injury, they can slide right in and play some meaningful snaps for this offense. Head over to the defensive side of the ball. I think that they have a fair amount of depth. They might not have too many kind of game breakers, which they could definitely add in this draft with, especially the first round pick, I think is absolutely going to be a cornerback. So we'll start there. Trevin Diggs last year, rookie, he's going to get there. He needs some time to develop. He's just fine. Jordan Lewis looks great as a nickel corner. He's a quality defensive back in the league. Keanu Neil comes in. I think that's a very underrated pickup. I really like Keanu Neil, especially for this team. They still have Donovan Wilson, Reggie Robinson. They bring in DeMonte KZ. I think they're okay at safety. If they did want to add, a bit of a ball hawk type safety, I'm okay with that to help with a bit of a weakness at corner, the weakness that I see. They definitely need to add a starter. I think that that's going to be either Patrick Surtain, Farley, a guy like that at corner. We'll see. Watch out for my mock draft coming out in a couple weeks, and we'll see who the Cowboys take. Moving to the line, linebackers are in they're in an okay spot. I would rather some more depth, 100%. Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith have both had injury history, so that's a little concerning for me. I think you need to, at the very least, again, add some depth, add a guy that can slide in and play right away if you need him to. And they basically need another linebacker to start on this defense. There's a bit of a fair amount of discrepancy on this defensive line on done by our lads here. Carlos Watkins is not an end. He'll slide in to back up Neville Gallimore and Tristan Hill. Antoine Woods is there as well. And then obviously DeMarcus Lawrence needs a bit of a running mate, helping him out. But I do think that they have a bit of depth. And that running mate just might be Terrell Basham. I really, really like what he brings to this team, what he can bring to this team. He played end in college. He had a very good college career out of Ohio. Played outside linebacker for the Jets. I just don't think he fit that system at all, or any 3-4 system. I think he's a 4-3 defensive end, which is what he should likely play on this defense. I don't think he's a linebacker, especially not middle linebacker. Slides over to the defensive end position, plays right end to DeMarcus Lawrence. Probably the starter, most likely. And then you got Dorrance Armstrong there, Bradley and I helping out. So they do have some depth guys, but I think that they could definitely add a playmaker on defense, especially this defensive line. Lawrence needs some help. He absolutely needs some help, but they have made some moves and picked up some guys, and Randy Gregory's still there as well. So we'll see what happens. I definitely like the Cowboys. I think this defense is going to be underrated and a little overlooked. I think that they've made some moves in last year's draft and in free agency to plug where they can, add some depth and competition, and see what you can get. I think that they definitely still need some pieces, don't get me wrong, but they have a lot of capital. They got a lot of draft capital to kind of plug those holes, add competition, add pieces that can help out this defense as a whole. They're going to need to play team defense, absolutely. I think their run D should be better than their pass defense. I think that that's pretty obvious looking at this roster, if you ask me. But I think that they can mitigate some of those things, especially if they have a good draft. I think I gave them one of 2 A+ drafts last year. And if they have another solid draft, they're going to be that much better. And I think it's mostly going to be on this defensive side of the ball. So we'll see what happens. But there you go. There's your breakdown for the 2021 Dallas Cowboys. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way out, and we'll see you on the next video.